Yo, what is going on, everyone? Welcome back. It's your boy Culture Shock. We are here to discuss the 2026 schedule. It is finally released and is here. Football season is around the corner. I don't know about you guys, but I am super excited and ready for football. It's been a long time coming, man. It feels like forever, especially when your team doesn't make the playoffs or win the Super Bowl at all. It just makes you feel like you just missed a lot of football. But like I said, the time is officially here. The schedules were released yesterday. Colts fans has already reacted. A lot of other NFL teams already reacted to their channels, to the schedules for the NFL teams. And I'm going to give you my thoughts on the Colts schedule. Now, of course, me being biased most of the time, I'm always going in with high expectations going into the season because every team right now is 0-0, and the opportunities are endless, especially predictions too. So you can predict anything you want. A lot of people already have their goals of who might make the playoffs or who might make the Super Bowl, but I like to be the guy that like to predict. If you're rooting for a team, you want to see them in that picture. And when you look at the with the rosters and things of that nature, it can pan out to be that way. Especially if you look out after the season last year with the Colts and how they started. Of course, you can predict things like that. And I know a lot of people may be worried due to Daniel Jones recovering from injury, the roster changes, and the scheme update, implementing the rookies into the new roster. Everything, of course, I understand and get it. But you forget that you still have a lot of talented players and a lot of good vets on this team coming back. It's going to be fully healthy and ready for the season. Going into the season, of course, you got Sauce Gardner getting a whole fresh reset going into the new year. You got a whole offseason to work and prepare for this new scheme. I mean, to the scheme and defense that he's implemented in with Luz Anarumo. He came in pretty much at towards almost the end of the season last year from the trade. And, we wound up getting him. So now he has a full offseason and can, develop his skills. I think he flashed a lot of good potential going into the end of the year. Of course, before he went down with injury, but I think he's shown potential to be a really good corner. Of course, we gave up some first round picks for him, but I think he has potential to be pretty good next year. DeForest Buckner's going to be back fully ready. Grover Stewart's going to be back fully ready. Jonathan Taylor's going to be back fully ready. Alec Pierce just got a big contract. He's going into the season to be number one wide receiver. We know how good he is and how much we use him, especially his chemistry with Daniel Jones, which is why they went to the direction of getting both of those guys back onto the roster, just due to the chemistry and how they both mesh very well. So, of course, you have all these things. Quentin Nelson's going to be out there. The offensive line is still the same. Of course, they might be implementing a new guard with the roster, but you never know. You never know. Like I said, the opportunities are endless. So let's take a look and see here from the schedule. We're going to go from week one all the way to the end of what the matchups are. Of course, you're going to be starting it off with Baltimore. That should be an interesting game. Then you're going to be heading to Kansas City. Then you got the Texans. You got the Commanders right after that. That's going to be an international game. Then you have the Steelers. You got the Titans after that. You have the Vikings, the Jaguars, the Cowboys, then the Dolphins. You got the Texans again. You got the Giants. Then we finally got our bye week. Then you're going to go to the Eagles, then the Titans, then the Bengals to be determined. Then you have the Browns, and then you end it off with the Jaguars. So, of course, like every other end of the year, the Jaguars are pretty much going to be sealing the fate for the Colts, in my opinion. So we'll be seeing what that looks like. But I say this schedule is a pretty solid schedule. Of course, a lot of people predict how tough it is at the beginning, but I think most of those beginning games are winnable. You can win most of these games. The only team that I'm really questioning and circling on my board at the beginning of the schedule is the Commanders and possibly the Ravens. The Ravens is a possible. It's the first game of the year. Anything can happen. A lot of people are already predicting us to go 0-3 or 0-2 or probably even 0-5. But me on the opposite side, I can see us winning 3 games possibly out of this outcome. And that's just due to the team chemistry, Daniel Jones returning. I think this team, how they started off last year, if they don't let off the gas and keep it going with the momentum, this was one of the highest scoring offenses last year. I have nothing but faith and possibilities going into the season. The season is fresh, it's new, anything can happen. I do predict the Colts to have a pretty good year this year. Now, I'm not going to say they're going to be undefeated or things of that nature, but they can very easily win 9 games this year. They can very easily win 9 games. It's just all about composure and chemistry and consistency. That's the biggest thing. They have to be consistent and keep it going. But they can very easily win 3 games out of this 5 game stretch at the beginning of the year. That's just no question. But like I said, the toughest games, of course, a lot of people predict is the Ravens game, the Chiefs, of course, the Texans, the London game, which is versus the Commanders, and the Steelers on the road, which we're going to be seeing Michael Pittman Jr. in his new roster. That should be a very interesting game. But I do have a lot of faith in this team going in this year. Like I said, I don't, the Super Bowl is something we all predict and will want to see. But the playoffs is one of those things we have to get to because that's the small steps. We got to take baby steps going into these processes and things. So we're going to take baby steps. Playoffs is definitely the first thing to get. But starting the season off against the Ravens, of course, is going to be a tricky one, just due to playing Lamar at the beginning of the year. Is definitely going to be one of those games. But like I said, I have nothing but faith against this team. It's an early game. If it was a night game, of course, probably not. But we're going to be at home this game versus the Ravens. We put up pretty good matches against this team. But like I said, the Ravens we do have a pretty good record against this team, especially in the Lamar era. We're not undefeated against it. We lost a few games, even in the bubble games too. Lamar had some pretty good games against us, but there's a few games we won too. So I definitely have us. I can see us winning this game. There's no question. It's definitely going to be a measuring stick for sure. If we play this Ravens team and go out and win, it's going to turn a lot of heads in the league, and they're going to be like, okay, this team's legit. The Chiefs game on the road, of course, a lot of Colts fans are like, oh gosh, we got to play Kansas City. But I'm not as scared as Kansas City as a lot of people. Kansas City does not put fear in me. That's a winnable game. It really is. The Colts are competitors. They're not just one of those teams that's just going to lay down. I really can see the Colts going in on the road in Kansas City and beating this team. But we'll talk more about that when it comes up. The Texans is always a good matchup, of course, but C.J. Stroud, like I said, as of late, has not really scared me, so I'm not really scared of the Texans. Their defense, of course, have nothing but fear in that Texans defense. Their defense has always been really good. They still have a lot of players that I wanted that's on that roster, but the defense will be the only thing that worries me going into that matchup, but the Colts can win that game. It's a division game, no problem. And it's Thursday night. The London game versus the Commanders, that's pretty much a question mark because the timing, the time zone change, and being international, the crowd, the ambiance, and playing the Commanders with Jaden Daniels himself, who's a dog going into this year. The Commanders always start off pretty good, so that's another game that I'm really worried about. Like I said, the only team I really worry about over that 5 game stretch, besides the Ravens, is the Commanders. Of course, playing the Jaguars. That's another team that you circle on my schedule because it seems like a curse that we can never win in Jacksonville. So that's another game that worries me. Like I said, playing the Steelers against Michael Pittman Jr. on the road against the Steelers. The Steelers is always a tough team to play in Pittsburgh. As a Colts fan, you should know that. So that's another game that worries me. But the Commanders, Steelers, the Jaguars, the Ravens is are the only teams I see really giving us a headache. The Eagles as well. But other than that, all of these games are winnable games. The Colts can have a really good year. They can really have a good year. It just matters of how this offense comes out because the offense is usually the situation that makes you scratch your head. The defense was pretty solid last year for what they had to play with. But of course, with the changes that they just made with Zaire and things like that, the defense can probably play even better. They're going to be younger. They're going to be faster. So I'm interested to see how the defense is going to look next year. The offense is another thing. Like I said, they were one of the highest scorers teams at the beginning of the year. If they can keep that going into next year and be more consistent, remember that they have Jonathan Taylor in the backfield, and the offensive line can be in sync. I think this team can go out there and win a lot of games next year. Not saying they're going to win 12, but I can definitely see this team being a 9 to 10 win team going into this year. The division is wide open. It's up for grabs, of course. This is one of the easiest divisions in the league. All of the teams last year in division were pretty much almost the same record, despite the stretch that the Texans started off with, or even the Jaguars. The Colts were in it the whole time. Like I said, the division's wide open, but most of those games that they have this year on the schedule is definitely a good looking schedule for the Colts to go out there and play some good football. So, like I said, they just got to go out there and win the easy games, man. If they can go out there and play up to competition and not play down to the competition, they can go out there and have a good year. The one of those things that just worries you going into the season, of course, is how is Daniel Jones going to recover from the injury? How's the offense going to look without a guy like Michael Pittman Jr., even though we did really use him over the seasons? But how's it going to look with Alec Pierce being the number one wide receiver? How's the defense going to look with C.J. Allen being the linebacker? Who's going to lead that forward in tackling with no Zaire? How's the safety room going to look now that we got Halsey and Bynum back there? We got more ball hawks. How's the ball's going to be tracked, man? Are we going to get more turnovers this year on the defensive side? Are we going to sack the quarterback this year? The defensive line, like I said, pressure-wise, gets the pressure, but we just never can get the sacks. So those are the questions that you want to ask yourself going into, the season. How is September going to look for the Colts? It's like I said, the beginning of the year is going to be a rough stretch. How do they look going into that? We will see how that goes. But other than that, can we beat Houston? Can we actually defeat the curse in Jacksonville? But like I said, the potential is definitely 9 wins. If anything, the ceiling's probably 11. But a non-win season is definitely something you can see in the future for the Colts. But I do have faith in this team to go out there and play some good football. But you guys, let me know your thoughts in the comment section. How do you feel about this team going to the season? Let me know your thoughts. Check out the website, the Blue Stable. We got articles coming out soon, I'm sure. Check out the Blue Stable podcast. TheBlueStable.com is the website for those articles and things like that. The Blue Stable podcast is what we'll be having the games predictions and things like that live stream. So check that out. Check me out on all the platforms as the Culture Shock podcast, or just find me Culture Shock on social media. I'm located everywhere. But appreciate you guys for tuning in. We'll be back with more content going into this season. The season's right here around the corner. And until next time, you guys have a good one.